Hello, good morning to all the Zabbix guys. I'm Dimitri Bellini, founder and CEO of Quadrata. Is a Zabbix partner, premium partner in Italy. And we are a very proud member of the Zabbix community from maybe since 2012. So we have a very long experience on Zabbix. And today, with my colleague Angelo, want to bring some experience of a very interesting case, the migration of an enterprise solution, a classic legacy enterprise monitoring solution, HP OpenView, or maybe there is an other name for this kind of product, to Zabbix. So I leave the word to my colleague Angelo.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. I hope you will not sleep during my presentation, because this is the first presentation of the day. I want, apart from this marketing slide about Quadrata that I don't want to present here, but maybe are interesting. Okay, what is the agenda of today? I would like to speak about HP OpenView. What is HP OpenView? Some history of HP OpenView. What are the main features? Why a customer needs to migrate from HP OpenView to Zabbix? Our experience in the migration, what we learned in our experience of this migration, and what we can take from HP OpenView, and we can think about put some new functionality in Zabbix. So, okay, what is OpenView? I don't know how many of you knows HP OpenView, but it's a very old product. It's an old product that started to be implemented in the 80s. In the 80s, using only the SNMP interface, the original name was Network Node Manager. Then HP put other components inside. The main one is the Operation Center, and the main engine, the discovery engine, was sold or maybe developed together with IBM and for Tivoli, and also with Digital for Polycenter Manager. Digital, you know, does not exist anymore, but this is history. So, in around 1995, the OpenView Network Node Manager and the Operation Center were integrated and started to be known as OVO. We call it OVO in Italian, OVO, or whatever you want. That is a shortcut for OpenView operation. Then HP started to buy other company in 2004, Novadig, Peregrine, Mercury in 2006, in 2007, Opsware, and then decided to change the name. So by integrating all together, rebranded at BTO for Business Technology Optimization, and the old name, the OVO, disappeared and was phased out. But customer continues to use the same. To make the long story short, in 2017, HP decided to split his software division from the main other division and sold to Micro Focus. So if you need today to buy HP OpenView, you have to ask Micro Focus, and so for the support of the product. Okay, that is the story. Now, what are the main features of HP OpenView? Is a server-client framework, like Zabbix, but is not like Zabbix, because in HP OpenView, the agent is mainly as a scheduler for running custom script. So if you buy HP OpenView and you put in place, you have basically nothing or almost nothing. You have to develop your own script for doing whatever you want. For instance, if you need to monitor the CPU utilization, you need to develop a script on your server in order to check the CPU utilization. Then you need to send the data to the engine receive this information that normally is not a data, but it's only an alert, and manage this alert. So you can make some operation, automatic action, manual action, you have some help, and so on.
I only want to put a comparison. Nagios is very close, very similar to how is working OpenView. So most of the scripts inside Nagios is basically
similar,
comparable to how OpenView is working. Okay.
Okay. What are the consequences of this? The consequences of I need to prepare some script, and the script does not send the data, send only the alert. So check the value of, let me say, CPU utilization or swap space or whatever, check with some threshold, and send a message. So at least in our experience, for sure, OpenView, let me call it OpenView, is a framework composed of many modules, and for sure there are also the modules to take the data from the server. But at least in our customer, in many customers that use HP OpenView, OpenView is only an alerting system. So, and not a monitoring system like Zabbix. Then, the first thing is to make the comparison about the terminology. So terminology is quite similar. There are some subtle differences, but basically what is OpenView policy we can call Zabbix template. The OpenView condition is a trigger. The message text is the trigger name in Zabbix. The help text could be an URL or a Zabbix description. The automatic action is the Zabbix script that is automatically handled by Zabbix in an escalation process. The manual action has not a direct comparison. In our migration, we had something like 400 policy to migrate. As you can see in the table on the right, the policy are related to trap, log monitoring, and also monitoring of different parameters of the server. So, the customer asked us, okay, you can perform the migration basically in two different ways. The first way is greenfield. You develop a new monitoring system in parallel to the old one, but and so you can use all the advanced feature of Zabbix related compared to the HP OpenView, or the customer asked us to make the migration in two steps. First step, basically translate HP OpenView. Second step, optimize what is. Why this? Because the customer is a very important customer. The customer rely on his HT for industrial production, so they cannot stop working. They fear some possible problem in Zabbix, and they asked us this. So what we did? We translated, so the monitoring script for Zabbix, we translated the monitoring script in monitoring scripts, but we tried at least to use some functionalities immediately. For instance, for the swap space, we did not translate the script, but we used directly Zabbix functionalities. In other cases, we needed to integrate the script. For the log monitor, we used directly the log monitor. For instance, for HTTP check, we use the web scenario, and for SNMP trap, we use directly the SNMP trap way of life in Zabbix.
And for OPC message, we use Zabbix sender. That is the same things. It's a binary in HP, also in Zabbix, so we can translate very, very easily.
Okay, for instance, I have a couple of examples here of which way we translated this from HP OpenView to Zabbix. Let me say, for instance, the monitoring of swap space. Monitoring of swap space works this way. The engine start a script on the client. The client read the threshold on a configuration file, from a configuration file. The first time, if the configuration file does not exist, create the configuration file. Then evaluate swap usage, compare with these thresholds that are more than one threshold, and send a message using OPCMon to the central engine in case of some threshold, reached threshold. Here is the OVO script that you have to build if you want to really use HP OpenView. As you can see, the script is tailored for different operating systems. So you have HP UX, you have Sun OS or Linux. You can see from a comment that this script was modified in 2013, so at least 6 years ago. That's all. And here are the comparisons that are made inside of the script in order to decide if there is a problem or not. And the command to send the message to the central engine, only if some threshold is reached or not. Thresholds are tailored potentially for each server. We can use the agent to take data. Of course, we translated this alerting system in a real monitoring system, and so we collect data and compare the threshold directly on the engine. But in this implementation, there were 4 different thresholds. Each configuration file could be tailored for each server, so it was a problem, this one. And some of the thresholds were not actualized, were left in some not known state in the configuration file. So we decided to use a specialized trigger with threshold resolved by macros at template and potentially host level. This way. So we had 4 thresholds, warning, minor, major, and critical. As you can see, some threshold is not set. We translated in macro, and we put 0 in the threshold, not set threshold. So the way of life is we can trigger this, but we have to increase the complexity because we have this not set threshold. So this is basically what we did. We check first the threshold, and then if the threshold is set, we compare. Otherwise, we did not compare. There are 4 thresholds. What does this mean? Living this way of life inside Zabbix, but also inside HP OpenView, this can lead to some corner case. Because consider, for instance, a file system that reaches the first threshold, the warning threshold, after some days can arrive to the minor trigger, to the major and critical trigger. And so you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 events, different events in HP OpenView and also in Zabbix. Basically, there are 2 conditions. The value can increase, and from warning can pass to major or whatever, or the value can decrease. And so which way to handle this condition? We decided jointly with the customer to avoid the automatic solution of problems. So in case the value decreases, there is no an automatic solution, so the problem remains on the dashboard. And if the value increases, the same, so we will have different problems. Okay, this was decided jointly with the customer. Second example, for instance, is log monitoring. Log monitoring is straightforward because there are no script at the agent level. This is a part of the policy, that you can see on your screen. As you can see, the policy has a condition condition critical, a match text, that is the form inside HP OpenView to handle, this is comparable to, come si chiamano? Regular expression. Yes, thanks. Similar to the regular expression, but it's a particular syntax. And there is also the message text. The message text is what happened, what is shown in the dashboard, in the problem dashboard. And that's all for all these conditions. We can have in a single policy, we can have even 100 different conditions. Because for instance, we log different conditions.
Yes, different conditions. I think the best things, is how we can put the name of the trigger using the HP syntax, because we can parse the message and decide what field in the message need to appear in the name of the trigger, for example, in Zabbix. We also do the same in Zabbix, but it's much more complex, because we have to write a very complex string, with the latest value and so on. In HP OpenView is more easy, very more easy.
Yeah. I wanted to point out two things here. Okay, first, which way there is the log parsing. HP OpenView is not able to handle complex condition, and so the customer decided many years ago to translate, so to take from the log file, from the standard log file, or of Oracle in this case, the error condition, extract this error condition and build another file. And this second file is monitored using HP OpenView. Basically, this is correct, this is true, everything is good, but sometimes they lose some error condition. And this is a problem for them. Then, okay, here is the translation, it's very straightforward. There is a HP OpenView match text, the Zabbix trigger expression, and the Zabbix trigger name. As Dimitri told you, this is much more complicated. In this case, I put a regular expression that is very simple to understand. Okay, there are two things that needs attention. The first one is the automatic action, because for some trigger, in Zabbix, for some condition in OVO, that is possible to start an automatic action. What is interesting is the way in which the automatic action is defined in HP OpenView. This is very simple to understand, but we can use this. Another thing that needs attention is the result of the automatic action, because many times the customer needs to put, and in the HP OpenView is very simple, to put what is the result of an automatic action inside the problem description. We solved this by writing.
Yes, scripts is usually integrated with Zabbix API. So, for example, during an event, a problem event, the customer executes tools, global scripts, and the output of the global scripts go inside the nodes of the events. The same thing also is applied in the automatic action of Zabbix.
Yep. So in the automatic action, everything works fine. What happened in the operator-initiated action? Many times the operator-initiated action we can build without any problem, because it is only related to the server that had the problem. But sometimes the automatic action has some reference to particular condition, like, I don't know, the disk name, for instance. In this case, for handling this case, we made a modification in Zabbix in order to take the event ID, and from the event ID we can take all the other parameters. An example of this is for remedy ticket generation, because remedy ticket is handled exactly in this way. So we extract all the parameters, we send the message to remedy, and we can take back the ticket ID. In some cases, and OpenView you can handle this in OpenView, you can open a ticket related to different problem, like a mass action. And this is not possible at the moment in Zabbix. These are what are the result in Remedy. You can see in the screen, in the drop-down menu, there is a new action.
Yes, it's an hack inside the problem view, and is most similar to the new feature that is coming in the Zabbix 4.4, but for manual action. So, please, Ganjo.
No, so this is a manual action, and this came back with the ticket ID. Why we needed the ticket ID? Because we needed to close the problem. So we can close the problem in Remedy using this exactly this way. So what we learned? We learned that the time you need to perform the migration is much longer than forecasted. We started thinking about 50 days, more or less. We put 150 days. We are now at the end of the first phase. We need to start the second phase end of October. And what we learned also, that you need customer involvement. It's not possible to handle this migration by yourself. What we like in OVO, 1 minute, what we like is the way in which this kind of action are defined, the way in which is defined the coming back of the return code of the automatic operation or the manual action, and also the simple way to describe this. To describe the different field related to the regular expression. So what we asked to add Zabbix, a way for obtaining event ID inside the global script, manually handled, a multi-selection in problem view, an official solution to the global script output redirected in the event note, and also an
Italian espresso machine
that could help in this way.
Why we decide to show you this use case? Because, as Angelo says before, the HP decided to split the software and hardware that before sell to the company. So at the moment, Zabbix is a very good solution to replace HP OpenView. It's not easy way, but it's possible, and Zabbix have all the features required to this kind of migration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.